What did the weird kid do to earn that reputation? The weird kid at my school always claimed she was a wizard, and when someone spoke to her when she was casting a spell screaming at the ground, she would turn around and either scream in their face or slap them. I was new to the school at the time and I got screamed at cause I was legitimately worried that she might be hurt or something. There was this guy, in class below me, who just ate everything. Once he went to the front of the classroom where the sink thingy is, took a big stack of paper towels back to his place and just started eating it mid-lesson. Another time he drank a Capri Sun in class, and when he was finished he just ate the package with straw and everything. The weirdest thing was when he ate a toy car the teacher brought to show something. He just sat in front of the teacher's desk, took the car from it and swallowed it without saying anything. There was a girl in my school that got caught trying to color her entire tongue with a black Sharpie in like 7th grade. It was honestly surreal to witness. The teacher was so confused and just walked her to the principal. A few years later she was expelled for drinking during school on multiple occasions. Set his arm on fire on a school trip to France. Sprayed his arm with deodorant for about a whole minute before getting someone to light it. It wouldn't go out until he used the tap in the bathroom to douse it with water. He ended up with blisters and permanent scarring. So the school trip ends and we go back to school the week after. All of a sudden me and 4 other kids get pulled into a classroom, to be questioned by police and the head teacher. He basically told his mom that we did it to him. Obviously this did not stick, as we all had the same story. If I had Facebook I would look him up, see how life is for him nowadays. Dude would wear a stormtrooper costume and taped an old flip-up phone to his arm and pretend to talk through it. This was in high school. He was particularly odd because he was like a born genius, so he'd often get bored in class and get up to some weird shit. Now this is a lad I'd like to hear some more stories about. To be honest, looking back on it I really feel bad for the guy. Was incredibly smart but had zero social skills and an unfortunate lump of fat right on his forehead that people would bully him for. It was also like he tried to get in trouble every chance he could anyways. Some things that came to mind: he would pick at and pop pimples in class. Like pimples on his arms and shoulders. He'd just go to town on 'em and be all red and marked up by the end. When I was in school we had a serious no electronics policy. A few times he would bring in his Nintendo DS and play that thing full volume, and of course off to detention because he was so smart. He would often correct teachers and other students, but in the rudest way possible. And he was always technically correct, if that makes any sense. Also often resulting in detention. Can't think of any more specifically fun stories. He rarely showed up to school. Maybe because he felt he didn't need to, or maybe because everyone, including the teachers, weren't always the nicest to the kid. Collected earthworms when it rained in the pouch of his hoodie and then laid them out in the schoolyard, spelling his own name. He cried when he saw that it had been scraped from the pavement the next day. By that time he was around 13. Predictably, people we started calling him Worm Kid. He got expelled around a year later, for throwing a fistful of earth at a teacher. Edit to elaborate on him having to leave the school. This act of dirt tossing happened inside of a classroom, at close proximity, when he'd been called to the blackboard during a Latin lesson. I'm from Europe. The teacher completely lost her shit. The moist soil was all in her hair, and she later said a couple of live beetles and little pebbles or bone splinters were also found in that mix, though I can't say whether that's true. When we were about 15, Harrison, we were all addressed by our surnames, decided one day to wrap his penis in adhesive tape during a biology lesson. I can't remember why, nor how he managed to remove it, but I was impressed. He also held the record for stabbing into the desk between each finger of his outstretched hand with a compass, a very sharp point, as fast as possible, despite hitting a finger at least once. He later became a distinguished surgeon. There were so many examples, but this one stuck out to me. There were twin boys in my high school who were just odd. We were in Spanish class together, and the teacher had this habit of making beeping sounds to get the attention of students who were talking, etc. So one day that's happening and the teacher goes, beep beep beep, and one of the twins shouts, "Fire Z missiles," crawls under his desk and runs out of the room. I thought it was so funny I about fell out of my chair laughing. He was very into the fantasy of war games. He would get super excited when anyone would play along with him. We had over 5,000 students in the school, and many people knew about him and would pretend to shoot at him for a laugh due to his antics. It all had to stop when someone pretended to shoot him with a bazooka and he jumped backwards down a flight of stairs from the explosion. Someone who is still unknown ran through the school with nothing on but a Spider-Man mask. He ran down the longest hallway we had, a quarter-mile long, willy flopping in the wind, and no teacher or monitor could stop his majestic run. I was the president of an improv club at my high school. The weird kid was a member. Now, remember that episode of The Office when Michael would interrupt every improv scene as a cop? It was like that, except this kid always had an evil/dark magic theme. Characters in the scenes turned out to be his evil brother from the Dark Outlands. Imaginary props would turn into mythic swords formed from shadows. But this kid was so desperately unpopular, no one had the heart to kick him out of the club. I went to Parkland a few years back. In my first period we had Nicholas Cruz in our science class. Whenever he was called on, no matter what question, he'd always yell out B, as in that's the answer. He sat in the middle of class. One girl kept flirting with him by stabbing him in the back of the head with a pencil while her friend laughs along. We graduated before he committed mass murder. Had a few in my high school. One kid would make pterodactyl noises throughout the school, and he was a little excited about the number 3 specifically. Another was just a little eclectic, but the way he interacted with other kids was a little awkward. He broke his foot one year and had one of those leg scooter things for it. He would race through the halls like an F1 racer. Another kid got expelled for trying to steal a classroom computer. Like the whole thing, monitor, tower, everything. Please like, comment, and subscribe.